Yeah.
And one of the things they talked about was the cycle of real estate and the cycle that we're now in. And it's really moved from what was a market where people, even agents who weren't following up, weren't working hard, were getting 2 or 3 deals, to a market that's not happening anymore because it's now a skill-based market. Can you kind of talk to us about that a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think bottom line is this, first of all, I don't really care how many homes are going to be sold in a year. I've never cared about that. Um, this year there'll be, just over 4 million. Last year there were just over 4 million, and that's kind of the floor. Like that's probably the fewest number of homes we're going to sell in this country is around 4 million. Now in 2021 it was like 6.2 million. So that's a $2 million decrease in available units across the country. And then of course in your market that number is going to shrink as well. But who cares? Why do we care about that? I don't understand because what is your goal? Like you want to sell 24 houses or you want to sell 36 houses or you want to sell 110 houses or you want to sell 240 houses or you want to sell 12 houses or you want to sell 8 houses? Whatever your goal is, it's less than 4 million. The state of the market is irrelevant to the individual agent. So don't get caught up in, well, home sales are down. Well, they're down for some people, but they're not down for everybody. Like opportunity shows up in transition, which is what we're in. So you get to decide, are you going to go out and take it or not? Now, here's what's been exposed, though. Your skill set has been exposed. When there are 2 million more opportunities, you don't have to be that good. It's kind of like, this time of year, it's Easter. Tomorrow's Good Friday, and Easter is on Sunday. And Tony, I don't know if they do this where you go to like the Easter egg hunts where you are. Do they have those by you, Easter egg hunts, and you take your kid and you get mad because your kid only came back with 1 egg? When
Yep.
I was a kid and did an Easter egg hunt, we would go somewhere and the eggs would be hidden. Do you know what I'm talking about, Tony? Like you'd have to go find them. And we've done these with Naomi. She's now 12, but when she was younger, we would do these where you'd go and you'd have to find the eggs. They'd be, if you're in your house, they'd be hiding inside a vase and behind a book and under the sofa and in between the pillows. And like you'd have to go and find them. Okay. But then when we moved to Florida, they do this strange thing. There's a church by our house. They do this. They literally fly a helicopter over this field at the church and they drop eggs out of the sky. And the field is now covered in all of these plastic eggs. And then the helicopter leaves and you run out and grab as many eggs as you can. I was raised in the market where you had to go search for the eggs. Most of you were raised in the market where you just ran out and grabbed them. But now we're back in the market where you have to search. But someone's going to come out with more eggs. Do you see what I did there, Tony? That is a professional.
I love that.
So you have to go hunt for it right now. There's still enough for you. Like some kid went to the Easter egg hunt and they came back with more eggs than other kids because they found more. And some of you went to the Easter egg roll or whatever you call it, where there's eggs everywhere, and they came back with more eggs because they just got them faster. So were you an agent that got stuff faster, or did you hunt better? And what you need to do right now is really work at, well, and this is why I always say the basics are never outdated. This is a fundamentals business. If your fundamentals are not solid, then your business will crumble. You must focus on the fundamentals. And right now, your ability to do the fundamentals is totally exposed. And this is going to make some people mad. But the good news is I'm not on this call again. I'm only here till what? When are we done?
We are done in about 24 minutes.
Okay, so in 24 minutes, you'll never have to see me again, and you can go, that guy was a total jerk. But I will tell you the truth. If you are struggling to succeed in your business right now, it's because you either A, haven't mastered the fundamentals, or B, aren't doing the fundamentals. And if you want to succeed in the business, you must master and do the fundamentals, because the people who have mastered and done them are winning, and the people who haven't aren't. And that is a self-reflection for you. It is never the market's fault, ever. If you're blaming the market, you're a victim, and I don't hang out with victims. I hang out with people who are accountable. Accountable people look at reality, and instead of thinking life happens to them, they find opportunity in it. And I said this on this morning's call. Opportunities are never lost. They're just taken by somebody else.
Yep.
I'll say it again. Opportunities are never lost. They're just taken by somebody else. Somebody on this call is having their best year ever, their best first quarter they've ever had in history. If it's you, put it in the chat. Are you having your best quarter in the history of your business? By the way, if this is the very first quarter of your business, then it's the best first quarter you've ever had. But are you having the best first quarter? Put it in the chat. Somebody on this call is having. Yep, there we go.
Yep.
There we go. We got one already that says I am. Well, I want to ask her. Is it Camille? Is that her name?
Yes.
Camille, can you unmute?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's going on, friend? How you doing?
I'm doing delightful. How are you?
I'm doing great. How long you been selling houses, Camille?
I just renewed my license for the first time in October, so I'm going on my 3rd year.
This is your starting year number 3. So you've had 2 first quarters and you're starting year number 3. Why is this one better than last year?
I really have gotten my operating procedures down, and I've been able to really keep track of all of my follow-up a lot better in a way that works for me, because it wasn't the case when I was using other programs and such on the in times past. So I'm just in a good groove, and I'm able to follow up and really hold myself accountable. And I've documented everything. That's a huge deal for me.
Okay, I want to go back to something. So you build your operating procedure so that you know kind of the systems you've got to run and all that kind of stuff. But you said something, you've really made follow-up work for you. Now, if anyone was on the pivot, were you on the pivot call this morning, Camille? I don't take attendance. I don't have judgment. Were you on the pivot call?
I was not. I was dropping my son off at kindergarten.
I said I don't need to know why. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. It's all good. It's all good. It's always recorded. But Camille, that's what we talked about today was follow-up. Follow-up. That right now, it just takes more follow-up, and without a system to follow up, you'll lose out. So tell me about your follow-up system, Camille.
So and I know this is probably taboo to say.
No, it's not taboo. Listen, real quick. If it's working, it's working. Do you get it? If it's working,
Yes.
It's working. There's no right or wrong way. You find the way that works for you. What's your system? Go.
So command has always just kind of not really worked for me. I was an administrator in the Marine Corps, and so Excel is my brainchild, and so I've been using Excel in a way that makes sense for me, and I have been much more fruitful. And maybe that's me not getting with the times, or having a learning curve, but for now it's very, very, very successful to do it with an Excel file.
This is why I always tell people, I don't care what you use, is you just need to find the system that works for you. So Camille's found her system. So tell me about your Excel spreadsheet and file.
So I have different pages for different categories. So my for sale by owners, my expireds and terminated, my farming, and then obviously, my other sphere of influence, which is not very big. Honestly, I don't really have a sphere of influence. I built my business on social media. And so what I do is I have a certain day for sale by owners. I have a certain day for terminated. I have a certain day for dilapidated. They're the ones that Greg Powers says he's shopping for dollars, the houses that look like they're in disrepair. And so every single week I'm shuffling through each category or each page in my Excel file, and then making notes of the last touch. And I'm doing at least 20 pieces of handwritten mail per day.
That's
great. What's really done it for me.
And how many homes are you on pace to sell this year after we look back at the first quarter? What are you on pace for, Camille?
Oh my goodness. I believe I'm on pace to sell my goal, which is 34.
All right, perfect. And how many did you do last year?
Last year I did 19.
Okay, so you're going to double. You're on pace to double, and you're going to do average 3 homes a month. This is your 3rd year. Tony, we would take it all day, every day. And here's how Camille has done it: is that she's gotten very purposeful in her systems and in her follow-up. Folks, we got to follow up, and there's a couple of reasons why people don't follow up. We don't want to bother people. And if they need us, they'll call us. Those are the things. Those are the reasons. How many of you have ever said it? Put it in the chat. I don't want to bother them. And if they need me, they'll call me. Anybody ever said that in the chat? Yeah. Okay. Blakely has. Tony has. Oh, Tony even said it. Tony's the expert guy running the call, and he's said it. But you're the only 2, apparently. Oh, there's another one who's said it too. I can't tell who that person. Amy said it. Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing about I don't want to bother them and they'll call me. I think we don't understand what it means to bother. People will tell you if you're bothering them. Don't decide for them. People will tell you. Melinda Ennis, who's in Indianapolis, was on our pivot call this morning, and she talked about it. She said she's been following a system that we've been teaching, and she's been texting people and doing her thing. And she said her fear was someone would respond and say, "Hey, can you take me off my list? Or take me off your list?" And she was worried about that. Turns out that doesn't really happen that often. She's been doing this since we started teaching it the first week of January. She's been doing the same thing every day, following this system that we've been teaching in what I call the pipeline market challenge, because we've got to build our pipeline. And here it is, all of a sudden, we're in the end of March, and she finally gets a text back from someone, Tony, and you heard it. You were on the call this morning. She gets a text back from someone that says, "Please take me off your list." Now, it took 12 weeks for her to get one person who says, "Please take me off your list." And she said her perspective about what that text meant totally changed. It went from being worried that someone was going to say, "Take me off your list," to being relieved that somebody said, "Take me off your list," because she says, now I don't need to follow up with that person anymore. I can take them out. I can move them over here. And if they do need me, they'll call me. But that's one person in 12 weeks who said, "Take me off your list." Now, it could be more for you or less for you. I don't know. But what I did notice, what I heard her say was she went from fear to relief when she got the text.
Yep.
She went from worrying about bothering someone to being happy to know she doesn't need to follow up with this person anymore. So that's first one. I don't want to bother people. I don't want to bother people. The truth is, you are bothering people. And if you do, they're going to tell you. It's totally fine. They'll, just like you sometimes unsubscribe for an email, but you don't unsubscribe from all the emails, but you unsubscribe from some of them. But the other thing we have to remember is if they need me, they'll call me. Well, that's only partially true. If they need you, they'll call you if they remember you. Well, how are they going to remember you? You're in their text, you're in their email box, you're in their voicemail, you're checking in. They can only call you if they remember you. Now, Jolie, who's in Michigan, brought up on the call this morning. She said somebody just called her this week who she's been following up with for 3 years. Tony, you were there. You know I'm telling this story straight up.
Absolutely.
She's been following up with this person for 3 years, and for 3 years, this person has never called her back. And then this week, she called back and said, "Hey, I need you to come list my house, but I just wanted to check, are you still in real estate?" Now, my aha to that is this. Your database, the people who you know, the people you hang out with, the people that you talk to, they expect you to dabble in real estate, not succeed in it. Because most of the people that your database knows who got into real estate dabbled, they didn't succeed. We have to show them we're succeeding. They think you dabble. You show them you succeed. And the way that you show them you succeed is by staying in touch, checking in, being consistent, being in their inbox. I think, by the way, Tony, this will get people very excited. How many touches do you think it is that we should do annually? Annual touches to our database. How many is it, Tony? You have a guess?
Oh, I'm looking at 36 plus.
Okay, 36. Yeah, 36. Blakely's closer. Blakely said 96. It's 100 touches. What? 100 touches? Yeah, it's 100 touches. It's 100 touches. In fact, let's build a 100-touch program. Can we do that? Right now, we've got 14 minutes. Do you think we can build a 100-touch program, Tony, in 14 minutes?
Something tells me we can pull it off. Let's go.
I bet we can do it way faster than that. So somebody raise your digital hand and tell me what could be the first touch. Get out your pen and paper so we can write it down. I'm getting mine out right now. What would be a possible touch? Who's got an idea? Raise your hand. Camille, what you got? It's the Camille show.
Sorry.
You're
Any
great. I like
holiday?
it. You're fun. What?
Any holiday.
Holiday. Okay. So what do you do for holidays?
Me personally, it depends on the holiday, but for Easter this year, I'm just sending out a Happy Easter card. It's a postcard, and it has nothing to do with business. That's it.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we could do holiday touches. Those would be holiday cards. And there's kind of like a holiday of some kind in every month. So if we sent out 12 holiday cards, that's 12 touches right there, Camille. Alex, what you got, friend?
Whoop. Birthday cards.
Birthdays. Okay, so I think the thing about birthdays is there's probably at least 2 per household, and if they have kids, there's more, but that's 2 touches. And here's what I would say. If this would be my suggestion, on birthdays is I wouldn't send a card. I would not send a card. Here's what I would do. I would do the one thing that nobody does. Does anybody know what that is? What is the one thing nobody does on a birthday?
Send a video message.
Oh, Carol,
Call
that's
and-
not it.
Call and sing. Call
Call.
and sing.
Call. Yeah, don't even, please don't sing.
No, I sang.
Yeah. Okay, well,
I like to
hopefully
call
you're
them the day
good.
before, James.
Hopefully
Oh.
you're good.
Call them the day
Okay.
before and say, I'm busy on your birthday, but I didn't want to miss you, so I want to make sure I'll be the first one to wish you a happy birthday.
Even better. Yeah. But see, that's a strategy that if you go and look at the birthdays of your people in your database, and if you call them the day before, call them the day of, nobody calls on the birthday. My last birthday, my birthday is August 4th. My birthday last year, my mom sent me a text on August 3rd. Remember, I was born on August 4th, but my mom sent me a text on August 3rd. And do you want to know what it said, Tony? It said, let's see, 46 years ago right now began the worst 16 hours of my life. That's what my mother said to me on August 3rd.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, 46 years ago right now started the worst 16 hours of my life. Apparently it was a 16-hour labor, and she would argue it might be a 46-year labor being my mother. But my mom didn't even call me on my birthday, and she made her birthday text about her. So I just think that's so funny. If you call people on their birthday, and by the way, if there's a minimum of 2 birthdays per most households, now we've all of a sudden we've gone from 12 touches to 14. Lisa, what else can we do?
We can use the neighborhood nurture program in command. People
Okay.
love to see what's going on in
Yeah,
the
so
neighborhood.
if you do at least a monthly neighborhood nurture, and Lisa, here's where I would expand this, and let's take that, because I like the neighborhood nurture, and I'd love us to get a little bit more systematic in it. So here's what I'd recommend. From an email standpoint, I would send a weekly newsletter. And so, by the way, that would be 52 touches if they got a newsletter every week. If you've ever been on one of my pivot calls, Tony, do most people know about Pivot Shift Ahead? I imagine they probably
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so that's my Facebook group. And if you've ever been on one of my calls, I send you an email every single Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern that recaps what we covered the previous week and gives you a look at some things that are coming up, and then other stuff that's of value. And so we send you a weekly newsletter. That's 52 touches. And then Lisa, in to plus the neighborhood nurture, I would do one equity analysis a year, and per person in the database. That's one touch a year. And by the way, if you need a resource on that, jamesdshaw.com. You can go to jamesdshaw.com, and I'll put the link in the chat in a minute and figure out how to do an equity analysis. But here's what we do: if we do an equity analysis, and we do a weekly newsletter, and we do 12 holiday touches and 2 birthday cards, we're at 67 touches. We're at 67. Well, we need 100, Tony. So what's
A little
another
short.
one? Who's got another thing we could do? Alex, are you back and better than ever?
I am. Popeyes.
Okay, we could pop by. I love that. We could pop by, check in on them. I like that. How many pop bys a year?
I would say once a quarter.
Okay, so that's 4. So 67 plus 4, 8, 9, 10 is 71. So we're getting closer. Ricky?
You can do anniversaries, both house and like marriage anniversaries.
It's our anniversary. Okay, so that's going to be 2 touches if we're doing house and wedding anniversary. That's 73 touches.
You can
All
also
right.
call him beforehand to remind him that his anniversary is coming up.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. Lisa?
I have a holiday party at my house, and it is, I think we counted 7 touches leading up to and 2
Yeah.
after.
Yeah, so that's 10 touches. One event is 10 touches. If you did an event a quarter, even if they were small, they don't have to be big summer blowout events. They could be very simple, like a coffee day. Hey, I'm going to be at the coffee shop today from 10 to noon. Come by and pick up a free cup of coffee on me. You send that to the whole database. Only 2 people come. You bought 2 pieces of coffee, but you touch the whole database. You do your pumpkin pies and stuff like that. If you do 4 events a year, and that's 10 touches per event, even if it's only 5 touches per event, that's 20 touches a year. 20, where it's 93 touches right there, even if we only do 5 touches per event. Ken?
Hey, James, you could do a just because text a couple times a month.
Listen, you're starting to get in a place that I like. I find it very interesting that it's taken us 8 minutes and no one has brought up calling anyone. And I think we've got to call and follow up with a text, like Ken just told us, at least 4 times a year. Well, 4 calls and 4 text messages, that's 8 touches. 93 plus 8 is 101.
I did say that I call and sing happy birthday. I'm just
Well,
saying.
Lily, I'm so proud of you. Yeah, you're the best. You and Ken must be the top 2 agents in the office, but Camille's coming for you. Bottom line is this. There is opportunity out there, but opportunity will come to those who are obsessed with consistency. Right? Success will come to those who are obsessed with consistency. What Camille taught us is that she figured out what her play was and she got up, she's getting up every day and she's running that play. She's consistent in it and it's going to, she's on pace right now to nearly double her business in 1 year, to average 3 deals a month in her 3rd year in the business. That's something to celebrate. Why? Because she got consistent in the system that worked for her. We just built a 101 touch program in 9 minutes, Tony. And now it's up to you to go out and run it. That's a foundational piece. It's basic. It's running the right plays over and over and over again. So I hope that was helpful.
That was helpful and fun.
Good.
Helpful and fun.
I like it.
We've got about 5 minutes left. Who's got something they'd like to throw at James and see what we get back? Don't tell me we get 67 people on the call.
Yeah,
Good
well,
number,
nobody
by
has
the
a
way.
question. Can I address the elephant?
Please.
Now, you guys, you have buyer agency in your state, correct?
Correct.
And you have to discuss it, like probably first point of substantial contact or whatever terminology they use. Would that be accurate? Yeah.
Correct.
And you have a buyer agency agreement that needs to be signed?
Correct.
Okay. And in that buyer agency agreement, there's a place to discuss compensation?
Correct.
Great. So do what you're supposed to do and you'll have no problems. We're done talking about that.
So the elephant's been dressed and ushered out of the room.
That's right. I mean, if you look at that, I think there's some people that are totally freaking out, but I will tell you that the agents who focus on the fundamentals and doing what they're supposed to do are going to be just fine. They're going to be great. Just do what you're supposed to do every single day. So I like it. Mary, did you have a question, Mary?
Yes, I do. Hi, James. How are you
Hi.
this morning?
What's that?
I said, how are you this morning?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. Thanks for asking.
Wonderful. The call, I make the call and in full disclosure, no, I don't make enough calls, but I'm training after 20 some odd years
Yeah.
to be consistent in making the calls. Tell me about the text after. Is
Well,
that with
I think
every
that-
call?
I think the text after depends on what the conversation was,
Okay,
right?
gotcha.
So
Okay.
I think if the text, if you talk to someone and just checked in and they didn't have anything, which is, by the way, what you all really just need to do is a care call, right? Which is, hey, Mary, it's James. I was just thinking about you, want to check in. What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And the text, the next day is, hey, it was so great to chat with you yesterday. It was just fun to catch up and I look forward to seeing you around town. Something like that versus somebody who has a need. I just think that we worry so much, but if we just, and Mary, you know this from 20 something years in the business, if you just listen to the people, they'll tell you what to ask or say.
Yeah.
Just
Thank
listen
you.
to what they tell you. You're welcome. And by the way, you're doing just fine. 20 years in the business, you're doing fine. I think what we want to do though is kind of figure out what is our floor. In other words, how, all right, what is going to be the minimum number of contacts I'm going to make in a day or calls I'm going to make in a day and have a floor for that. I have been starting, in fact, we're going to do this. I have an in-person event coming up in April called Elevate. I don't know if anybody on this call is coming to that, but when I started Pivot Shift Ahead 4 years ago and it grew to 118,000 people on Facebook, I didn't know that they'd all become friends. And so now they want to hang out. So we do an in-person event once a year. This year it's in Indianapolis. It's 2.5 days. And it's a lot of learning and networking and fun. And I'm doing a session there and it's very exciting. Mary, it's called Be Average. I mean, isn't that motivational? Doesn't it get you excited when someone says, just wake up and be average? And what I mean by that is, know what your standard is. Know what you need to hit on a day-to-day basis, and then go average that. And if you average that, then ultimately you will hit your goals. If you do the right things more days than you don't, and you hit your averages, then you will hit your goals. And I'm into, consistency over intensity. So if we know what our average needs to be and we hit that and we're consistent in it, then we don't have to go extreme and do this, oh my gosh, I need to talk to a gazillion people today because I'm out of business. Just hit your average, be average every day and you'll win. Okay, we have another Mary. Hi, Mary.
Oh, good morning. I was gonna almost say exactly what you just said, James, is
Oh, cool. Well, you're
that,
smart.
yeah, so I guess I could just lower my hand, that it is simple. We just aren't doing it. And skill set, like Tony was talking about this skill-based, it's actually doing the things we know we need to do, doing it to serve others, and just doing the work. It's not rocket science.
Correct.
That doesn't mean it's easy.
No, it's not easy.
It's the boredom, it's the consistency that we really don't feel like doing. And I think so many people, when things are shifting a little bit, start panicking and do all the things they shouldn't be doing, throwing money at things that have never worked in their business. Do the things that work. Go to those where your business has come from.
Well, and that's what you guys are doing on here, because you get on this every day and you do all the right stuff. Mary, I think you've nailed it. That if you recognize that success is about adding value to people, you'll win. And I've said to people before, I go, hey, so tell me, what is your business about? Because I think a business can be about only two things, people or money. So your business is either about helping as many people as possible or making as much money as possible. It's one or the other. And Mary, when I ask people, what is your business about? You know what most of them tell me? Oh, people. My business is all about helping people. I go, great. Here's how you prove it to me. You talk to people when they're not paying you, not just when they are. Most real estate agents only talk to people if they're paying them. And that's someone who's about money. You run into your girlfriend at Starbucks. Hey, girl, hey, what's going on? Oh, listen, I'm finally leaving him. He's a jerk. We need to sell the house and buy a new one. And you're like, oh, my goodness gracious. First of all, I'm so sorry that's happening. And second, let me help you out. And you help her out. You help her sell the house. You help her buy a new house. You hang out. You talk every day for 60 days. And then boom, once you get paid, peace. Talk to you in 10 years.
Amy, I love that, James.
One second, let me finish, and then we'll come to Amy. We're going to go over
for it.
today, Tony. We're going to go over. I hope it's all right.
I think we can survive.
Okay, so that is a business that's about money, because as soon as your friends stop paying you, you didn't check in anymore. But if it's about people, you call her 90 days later. How's it going? You call her 90 days later. How's it going? You call her 90 days later. You invite her to your event. You do your thing. That's my point. All right, Amy. I'm sorry. We're going over. Go ahead, Amy.
No, you're fine.
No problem. Following up on that, what about when you have had people that you've talked to consistently and then like over time you kind of drift and then you want to get back into it? I have a hard time not feeling very salesy or like I have an automotive.
You know, Amy, we have to remember that our business is not Castaway. Do you remember that movie with Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
And do you remember he's on the island and he's stuck there? I don't know how long he was on the island with his volleyball.
Yeah.
And do you remember what he was doing? Every day he would mark in what was it, a tree? How many days it had been.
I don't remember.
He was mark down how many, I don't remember where it was, but he would mark down how many days he was stuck on the island to keep track. I think our database does that. People sit around and think the database is sitting down and going, it's been 182 days since Amy has called me. Amy, they don't give two flips about you. Right. They do not care about you at all. But it's kind of like, Amy, when you run into an old friend, you're like, oh my gosh, it is so good to see you. You're happy to talk to them. Your database is not keeping score on how long it's been since you've talked to them. So here's your job. Your job is to call them. And here's what I'd say, Amy. I'd go, Amy, it's James at KW. Oh my gosh, you came on my mind today. And I just know when someone comes on my mind, I need to call them and check in and see how they're doing. How are you? Boom. That's the opening line. And then you have a normal conversation after that. And then you put them on a 90-day cycle. You move them on to a 90-day cycle starting then. Hey, Amy, it's James over at Keller Williams. You know what? Just want to check in. How's everything? Last time we talked, you said such and blah, blah, blah. And then 90 days later, and then 90 days later. And then you know what happens, Amy? Now you're getting a rhythm talking to them. And all of a sudden, they call you. Hey, girl, what's up? We got to sell the house. That's what we do. But it's not Castaway. They're not counting the days. Only you're counting the days. They don't care.
Thank you.
But remember, if you don't check in with them regularly, they think you dabble in real estate, not succeed in it.
That's true. And I did just have that happen to a client that I hadn't talked to in about 7 or 8 years. And they shot me an email and said, "Hey, are you still in real estate?" And I'm like, "Oh God, that was an epic fail." But thank God they called me, you know?
Exactly.
haven't-
They at least remembered, but they were proving the point of they thought you dabbled.
Yeah.
Because everyone else they know dabbled. They don't know a successful agent.
Right.
Yeah. Tony,
Thank
was
you.
this
James,
okay?
This is fantastic.
Can I tell people a couple of things before
Sure.
we go?
Go
All right.
ahead.
So first of all, join us in Pivot Shift Ahead. We do calls like this every single day, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. It's Pivot Shift Ahead on Facebook if you're not a member. And then you can get the link for the call on my website, which I'll put in the chat.
Yeah, I threw it in. I can throw it in again.
Thanks, jamesdshaw.com. All right, so that you can go there. Also, I have a private mastermind community that Tony is a member of, actually, called the Inspire Collective. We meet every single Tuesday, noon Eastern. And what I like to do, like Amy, I like to break things down to its simplest form so that we can do step 1, then do step 2, then do step 3. Kind of like what Camille was telling about. She's got her, in fact, I'd like to interview Camille. She's got her steps. This is what I do, then this is what I do. And I think when agents, it's not for a lack of desire. It's for a lack of clarity. We don't have clarity in what steps we need to take daily. So I like to find out the steps that are working for others and teach them to our people. That's what we do inside our Inspire Collective. And that meets on Tuesdays at noon Eastern. And if you'd like to join that, I'll put that link in the chat too. It's super easy. It's inspire.jamesdshaw.com. I'll put it in here for you. Inspire.jamesdshaw.com. Now, my Pivot Shift Ahead community is free. The Inspire Collective is not free because I still have to pay a mortgage too, like you. So if you want to join the Inspire Collective, you're welcome to. It's $99 a month. It's just a month-to-month fee. It can be canceled anytime. There's 4 calls a month as a part of that, plus a bunch of bonuses, downloadable tools, playbooks, stuff like that. So if you're into masterminding with other people, you're welcome to join us in the Inspire Collective. That link is in the chat. Tony, thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
No problem.
I'll put my Instagram in here too. So if anyone wants to connect with me there, you can. It's James D. Shaw. Thanks, Tony. Be well,
Thank
everybody.
you so
Sorry we
much,
went
guys.
over. Yeah.
No, not at all. Take care.
Thanks, James.
Appreciate it. That was awesome.
Thank you.